Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's your good friend Eric Thompson. This is the Ninja Selling Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for being here and for listening. Really looking forward to this interview. I actually have two guests with me. First of all, I'd like everyone to meet Caroline Bourgeault. Welcome, Caroline.
Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here. Caroline, you have a French last name and you have an Australian accent, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that. So this is like a multinational podcast. We're really excited, excited for that. Yeah. Caroline, with you is your coach, your ninja coach, Steve Mangelson. Welcome to the podcast, Steve.
Hello, Ninja Nation.
Yes. Hello to you, Steve. Thanks for being here. Steve has a slight frog in his throat. We're going to be okay with that. And everyone, we're just so grateful that you're here. This is going to be chock full of takeaways, my friends. And Caroline, you're about to share some really great stuff with us. We're so looking forward to that. Why don't we start with just getting to know you a little bit better? Tell us about where you live in the market that you serve.
Sure. So I'm originally from Australia, but I'm currently living and thriving in Pueblo, Colorado. I am a realtor. I'm a mother of four with almost brand new baby. He is 9 months old now, my little Ollie. I'm a stager and I love people.
You love people, clearly. So Pueblo, Colorado, for those of you that don't know, it's a community that Caroline is 2 hours south of Denver, 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours south of Denver. Beautiful, spectacular place. You heard about Caroline's family. That will play in later as we talk about work-life harmony. Caroline, how long have you lived in Pueblo?
6 years in December.
6 years in December. And how long have you been in real estate?
Officially been in action since about April 2023.
April 2023, so 2.5 years. Caroline, you are today the number one realtor in Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes.
Yes. Bravo. Congratulations. The Ninja Nation is sending you air high fives and fist bumps, and we're celebrating that. And you did hear that right, that Caroline has been in the real estate business not even 2.5 years, right about 2.5 years. You become the number one agent. Just so everyone knows what that means and the kind of production that you're doing to be at that level, you're on pace, you told me, for 100 transactions this year.
Yes.
You're going to help with 100 transactions this year. You helped with, Steve, you said 91 transactions last year. Last year, 2024, was your first full year in the business, and 91 transactions, newer to the community. By the way, everyone, she's doing this without an assistant. She recently hired a couple of virtual assistants. So you know what? We say it matters who says it. And I want everyone to have some clarity on that as we embark on this conversation. So Caroline, tell us your ninja story. That's one of our favorite questions to ask people, is your ninja story around how you discovered ninja, how you got introduced to it. You have a pretty special story. So tell us about that.
Sure, I'd love to. So some people show up to the ninja installation with a notebook. I showed up with a belly, a backup snack, and a birth plan. I was 7 months pregnant when I came to the ninja installation in October 2024. That wasn't actually where I met the ninjas. The first time I met them through the Ninja Selling book. I'm sure many people can relate to this, where you find yourself like there is no mentors, there is no one around you to support you or give you encouragement. Sometimes our real estate world can be a little bit tough to crack that shell, right? So being a teacher, I was like, where do I go? Let's go to the books. I started reading, looking at different books. Then I got to the Ninja Selling book and I was like, okay, stop. This is different. This has something different to offer. And this is something that I can actually follow. It's like a roadmap. I'm a very visual person, and everything in the book, even though you're reading it, you're actually feeling it, you're picturing it, you're like ready to go, right? So I was like, okay, like what course? What is he referring to, you know? So I did what we all love to do, and I Googled it. So I Googled it and I was like, okay. Then I booked myself and my belly to Fort Collins.
Hey, just to be clear, when you say your belly, you were pregnant at the time. So
Correct.
When you came to the installation, October 2024, you joked and said you came as a package,
Yeah.
right? There was you and the baby in your belly. And so you read the book, booked yourself to the installation. Yeah, keep going with that initial journey.
So I was 7 months pregnant, and it's so interesting because for me, I stopped and I was like, all right, if I'm going to be able to continue this, like I have to do something different. The installation was something different. But coming to the installation, I'm like, hang on, there's more. There's the coaching. And my dear husband says something all the time. He goes, it's easy to get to the top. It's a lot harder to stay there.
Right. So agree with that.
Right. So here I am. I want to serve my people. I want to find more people to love. I want to be the best neighbor, the best friend, the best mother that I could be. And so I was determined not to let the fact that I was about to have a baby get in the way of how far I've become, but also, who I want to be, right? Because we are constantly looking for ways to improve and offer more. And when you're thinking of everybody else around you, then that's an inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I got connected with Steve,
Your coach
my coach.
at the installation in October 24 is when you met Steve. Yeah.
That's when I met him. And I'm so glad I did because honestly, he cares so much and he cares about the person. He is constantly got nuggets to share. Like I was very concerned, to be honest, when I first started coaching, if it's going to be all fluffy. But I feel like, you have your glasses on and they get cloudy. What Steve does is he takes that cloud off. I can see better. I can aim for my goals and I can work harder than ever because I've got that support. And it's a support from someone who is knowledgeable and has experience and actually cares. And that makes all the difference.
Terrific. We love hearing that. That's fantastic. So really what you're describing, Caroline, is a decision to make a commitment and to make an even bigger commitment. You showed up at the installation last year in October, already with success, already with momentum, already with a lot of things that are working, but there you were making an even bigger commitment. Did you find yourself making that decision to level up and make a bigger commitment during the installation, or was it in advance of that? Did you say, you know what, because I want to make an even bigger commitment to myself and my business, that's why I'm going? Or did you find yourself having those kind of thoughts during the 4 days?
So I knew that I didn't want to lose momentum. And I had some momentum, but then it took it to a whole new level because momentum isn't loud. It's consistent.
That's a quote. Momentum isn't loud. It's consistent. That's strong.
And so that's what I've learned. And that's what I wanted to do. The book was great. The book was phenomenal, but here I am. And now I'm learning all these tips of how I can actually execute it and take something that I already love and know to a whole new level.
But you're about to have a baby.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because there you went into 2025, if I'm doing the math. You had your baby early in 2025 or late 2024?
Late 2024. So that was October 2024 when I did the installation, 7 months pregnant. End of the year. So December 8th, I had my baby.
December 8th, 24, you had your baby and you launched into 2025. So you're sitting here about to do 100 transactions in 2025 without an assistant. You had a baby at the very beginning of the year. Tell us about that.
That was an interesting experience because I thought I was prepared, but little did I know. I knew I was going to have a C-section, but I ended up with a ruptured uterus. So that was another ball thrown at me. But I have an attitude where anything that comes your way, if you decide to let it take control, it will. So I was determined that I was going to actually make it through. Discipline doesn't disappear, it adapts. So I was like, okay, how am I going to change things? What am I going to need to adapt to make this happen? So I was in hospital writing contracts.
Yeah. How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for just under a week because I had a ruptured uterus. And so that usually means a little bit
more recovery. Sure.
More recovery. But thank God, honestly, it just helped. But I was in the hospital and I was still doing my affirmations. I was still doing my gratitude. Every morning, it's basically God and gratitude before the grind. That's something that I tell myself every morning, which means I pray. I have the opportunity to be thankful for all the wonderful things. And then I roll into my affirmations, which is very exciting. I struggled with that a little bit. So what I started doing, because obviously of the pain and everything, I started taping my affirmations everywhere. So every time I go to the bathroom, I'm reading my affirmations. Every time I lie in my bed, I'm looking up and there's an affirmation, And so I'm constantly reminding myself of what it's all about.
Yes, that's always in front of you. So tell us how you manage your schedule. Tell us about your work-life harmony, because I know that you have that work-life harmony and it's remarkable. You said 4 children, super productive, no assistant. How do you do all that?
I think for me, it was the fact that priorities don't fight for space. They get scheduled. So I made a decision that I wanted to breastfeed my baby. That was a decision that I made, and I had to honor it. And I wasn't talking about pumping, nothing wrong with pumping, nothing wrong with formula. But for me, that was the decision that I made, and it was a priority for me. So I literally had to schedule in my feeds. And in the beginning, with a newborn, and he was a little bit early. So he needed to feed every 2 hours. So I'd literally go home, feed, schedule my showings or my listing appointments around the feeds. That's how I made it through the day. I had to block out times for my morning routine. I had to block out times for my feeding, and then I had to block out times for my ninjas.
You're an example of when you get intentional, when you get on purpose, when you get disciplined, you can make it happen. We all have other obligations, other demands, things that come up that are not expected. You had some extreme things that came up, but there you were making it happen. What would you have to share with others who also have big demands and they're trying to make it all work? What coaching or advice would you give to them?
So I think when you're clear on the target, it's easier to swim. So show up, serve up, and keep swimming every single time, all the time. As Larry taught us, having your life list, knowing your whys every time you step out, every time you sit on your desk, knowing your whys, being reminded, that's very important. I think being intentional in everything that you do. Your time is so, so precious, and you're so important to so many people. So use it wisely. Be there and be present. So for example, when I am touring a home with buyers, I don't just walk through the home. They need to feel like Caroline is here. And it's different walking through the home with Caroline than not having Caroline. So for example, as we're coming in, I'm setting the expectations. I'm talking about what we're going to find. But also I am letting them know while they're enjoying the tour, I'm looking out for them. I'm looking for any red flags that may come up. I am protecting them. I am keeping an eye out on the pros and the cons, and I'm going to be sharing both equally. So I have, for example, a staging background, right? So as we're touring the space, I'm letting them know, oh, you could potentially put this there. This would work beautifully there. And helping them envision the space. A lot of people can't visualize a space that's not staged. A lot of people. So when you are bringing something different, share it with your clients. Remember why you are there. And I have clients, even after they close, they'll text me photos. Do you think that looks good there? How do you feel about us doing this? And then that takes me to the next thing, because what I've done is not only establish the relationship during the buying process, for example, but hey, I've set the trend that, hey, you can reach out to me anytime. I'm here to help. This is not transactional. This is relational. And then this helps with the flow, because now I've got reasons to communicate. Hey, what did you end up doing with that? Did you end up buying that couch you sent me? And then that's another excuse, another reason. And then I take that through the forward questions, and then I put them to my database, and then it all works harmoniously.
It all works harmoniously. Steve, give us your take on her work-life harmony and how she's able to do it. Because again, this is remarkable that she has this many things happening in her life, this many obligations, and for her to have this level of productivity. So what's your perception on this?
So to be totally honest, I'm here blown away because I knew you were amazing before this, but I've got a page full of notes of things that you've said. Like I'm seeing a whole new side of you, which is super, super inspiring. On our coaching calls, oftentimes kids are in the background. Sometimes kids are on the calls. With Caroline, and I really apologize for my voice, but it's gone from what she does to who she is. The passion, the why comes from the love and the interest that she has in other people. And not just from a fluffy standpoint, but from a very serious, I take my agency serious with my people. The visual I have is that she's literally in front of people to remove any and all obstacles so that they can have the best experience possible. It's not a balance as much as it is harmony, because it's this continual movement in between work and life and family. And she doesn't sacrifice anything personally. She gets it all done somehow. She gets it all done.
I have an amazing coach. That's why.
That's nice. Caroline, you're so clear on your priorities, and nothing will get in the way of that. You're never going to sacrifice what is an absolute priority to you. You told me as we were getting ready for the podcast that you do Ninja my way. That's you talking. You said, you know what? I do Ninja my way. Tell us more about that and what you mean by that.
So I'm just personalize it. If you're the type, so for example, the positive reading. Sometimes I'm tired. I've been feeding all night and I am not so sure I'm ready to face the day in the morning. So what I do is I'll actually put on Audible something like a book like Pep Talk or Ninja Selling or something that I actually is going to get the juices flowing. And so I wake up and the first thing is positive thinking because I'm listening to someone who's positive, who's upbeat, and they're already awake, right? And then within 10 minutes, I'm ready to face my day. Then I roll into my gratitudes and everything else. But that's my way of doing it. If you're, more into like, okay, I want to sit down and read and absorb first thing in the morning, then that's what you do. If you want to have your eyes closed and just meditate on God's goodness and meditate on what an amazing day you're about to have and just be grateful like first thing in the morning, then that's wonderful. So do you. And that's with every step of the way. Like with the buyer's process, I bring staging. What do you bring? Think about that. Because you have like everybody has something different to bring to the table.
Right. So you're doing it in your own authentic way. Audible works better for you than reading, and you're doing it that way. You have a gift for staging, and you weave that into your buying process. So.
Right. And I weave that into my selling process because that's part of who I am. I'm a mathematician. So people like me to throw numbers out there. So that's what I do. When I do my Ninja Nines, I'm keeping a scoreboard because I'm challenging myself. I'm competing against myself. Right? Because that works for me to be accountable to myself and to my coach. That really helps me a lot. Real estate is like a vehicle for flexibility. If you choose to drive it that way, that is. So the Ninja's the same, right? You've got 9 amazing Ninjas items that you can work by, you can live by, but tweak them in your daily living so that they suit your lifestyle.
Right. And so that you become it, like Steve was saying before, you're not just doing the Ninja 9, you are becoming a ninja. You are a ninja.
When it comes to like, I don't do door knocking because it's definitely not who I am, but I'm an events person, right? Like those housewarming parties we were talking about the other day, I love that because I'm an event planner. That's what I love to do. I love to host. I love people. So I do it my way. You know what I mean?
That is a great segue, I think, into some more tactical things we can talk about. I'm sure people listening are dying to get into this. They're thinking, okay, how does she do it? How does she become the number one agent in Pueblo, Colorado in 2 years? How is she creating 100 transactions, really your second full year in the business? So tell us about your database, your sphere, how many people, and in all the different ways that you like to stay in flow with them.
Okay, that's a wonderful question. So I think of my database as almost an extended family, right? So I put people in the database. If someone's part of your family, you're going to want to know everything about them. The 4 questions are your easy go-to through and through. So one of the things that I've actually changed through time is I've started adding the 4 questions to the database. And I know that's something we should have been doing from before.
Just to be clear, you organize the notes in your database around Ford. And so they're right there in your database. Like if we were to look at it right now, we would pull up someone's name, we would see FORD, and you would see all about their family, their job, what they do for fun, and their future dreams.
Right. Sure. Yes. And that is not a static thing, which means I'm constantly updating it. If I find out more about their family, it's going in there. You could never find out enough. So I have 350 people currently on my database. What I'm doing with these people is I'm reaching out and staying in flow. But the main thing that I'm doing all the time is letting them know that I care about them, right? Because I care about them. I obviously care about their real estate investment. It's hand in hand. And then it's not surprising and it's not annoying when you send a real estate review or when you send additional information or when you want to tell them about the market. One of the things that I've learned though, because I'm a very I love creativity and I love everything to look perfect and amazing presentation and things like that. So I'm more into the creative things, the events. But what about people who are not into events? What about people who are not into that? So I've included now in my system a lot more science-based items into my regular flow. So I typically have about 3 events throughout the year. And I did a massive mistake last year of trying to get a Thanksgiving pie personally to every single person on my
Oh my
database.
gosh, all 350? That's a lot.
So,
And you were about to have a baby at
yes,
that point, right?
I think that was definitely a trigger.
2 weeks away from having a baby.
Right. That
350 pies.
expedited things.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so typically 3 events. So typically what are those?
So I've done housewarming events. I have done the Thanksgiving pie and I've done Christmas celebrations. These are my major events, but then I've got small little events along the way to remind them, hey, it's your birthday. Why don't we and I still call them events because they're fun, and you have to plan them, but let's go do coffee for your birthday. Hey, I saw this and I completely thought of you. Like when I'm shopping, I completely thought of you. So it might be an art or a canvas that I know this person is interested in. Or if I have a client who's absolutely in love with a certain type of car, I'll get them a little model of that car just randomly throughout the year. So it's constantly letting them know you're cared for and you're important and keeping the flow.
And it's personalized to them. That's almost a superpower you have where you're so aware of what's important to them personally. And you're just on the lookout for anything that would be really meaningful to them.
Well, that's the forward in the database.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, and having their forward in your database is what helps you with that.
Well, right. Because I would say maybe once a month, I sit down and I review some of my notes. So I remember all those things they liked, they didn't like. So I'm fully really in tune with them. And then when I call them, I know exactly what to ask. They're like, okay, we're not just a number to her. She actually genuinely cares.
Got it. Tell us about things that you may be doing through the mail or email, those 350 people. Tell us about the kinds of things that they might be receiving by mail or email.
Obviously, every occasion they will get an email from me.
For the invite to an event.
Invite to an event, if it's something that might be their anniversary or it's Easter, things like that, everybody will get an email from me. And lately, I've actually been using Follow Up Boss to send texts as well, because then I could send them to everybody at the same time. And I feel like texts feel a lot more personal than email. So I've kind of moved away from just putting everybody on an email list, because how many emails do you actually open?
Got it. So you're doing more texting.
More texting.
Got it. And what kind of things go out by text? You said you use Follow Up Boss.
Yes. So basically I'll do the occasions, but I'll also send market updates that are specific to their neighborhood. So they know I'm actually not just sending to 1,000 people. All those little different flows and that constant communication make a tremendous amount of difference. And I'll have people when I have my forward, I'll decide, are you going to be an 8 and 8? Or are you going to be a little bit more I don't need to follow up with you as much in the beginning because we've already got a good relationship. And then keeping that flow. I had a client, for example, her daughter was getting married. And I knew that obviously that's a life-changing circumstance, which was going to result in her probably wanting to buy a house. But that wasn't the motivation. I cared about the client. I cared about her daughter. And I was in flow with her well before the daughter got married. It's interesting because that client came back to me later and she said, do you know how many realtors have approached me in the last 2 weeks as soon as her daughter got engaged? In the last 2 weeks, because they want to offer their services. And I told them, I'm so sorry, but we have a really good relationship with a realtor, so we're going to have to go with her.
Yeah, you were well in front of that, right? You were, yeah.
And so it's about seeing the cues. Are we listening? Are we present? Are we intentional?
You mentioned a few minutes ago an 8 and 8 program and process. You have, let's call it a pre-made 8 and 8 for people that you meet for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Okay, so the first thing I do is a perfect example. Let's say I meet them at a housewarming party. the first thing I'll do is I'll text them, thank you, in the next few days. Thank you for coming to the party. It was a pleasure having you there. I'm really glad I got to know you. And look at this photo, and I'll make a comment on the photo that I'm sending of them. So now they know, like, oh, okay, she didn't send this to, she might not have sent this to everybody in the party. It just feels so personal. You're not just sending them a photo that you took during the event, but you're actually commenting on that photo. That's the first week. The next week, I'll call them, oh, did you get my photo? Or if they replied, I'll be like, oh, well, I'd love to stay in touch. So already you've set up that expectation that you're going to be in touch. So it's not a surprise when you call them again, but they're pleasantly happy because it's all been bubbly. It's all been fun, right? Party's fun. Thank yous are fun. So the next thing is, I offer this service to my client of real estate reviews. Do you mind if I give you a real estate review on your property? And they will say, yeah. And I'll explain what the real estate review is. And I'll say, I think it's going to be so beneficial for you to know how much equity you've built, for insurance purposes. And I'll go into that whole.
Yeah. And you've established relationship, you've established trust. And so, of course, they're going to say yes to that.
Yes. And then I always make sure that I have either a phone number or a mailing address to work with. And so the next thing is I will send them something scientific. Depending on the time of the year, it really does change. I will send them something a little bit more like fun and artsy. The next week, I'll be like, okay, I'll make another phone call because you don't want to lose that personal touch. The week after that, I would send something personalized, and the final week will be meeting them face to face.
Perfect. Fantastic. Everyone, what you just heard is a process. You just heard a process that's ready to go for these people that you're meeting at housewarming parties. So we haven't heard all about that. So tell us about your housewarming parties.
Okay. So the key is streamline it. Make it easy for yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. The power of progress is not perfection by any means. So first thing that I would do is send the invites. They're the exact same invites that I have, the layout, the design. In the invites, go ahead and write, the updated information, send them out. That's a 2-minute thing. If you've got an assistant, they can do that.
And are these parties for every closing?
It's not every closing because realistically, like
that would be a lot.
Month where I closed 11 closings, there's no way I can have 11 parties, right? Just from a time perspective. But I would say the majority of the closings and as much as possible, right?
So the majority of buyers that you work with, you're going to throw a housewarming party for them.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, what that looks like, it's very simple. You basically set the expectations from the beginning with the client. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait till you close. This is so exciting. And then I'll focus on why this is so exciting for them rather than generalization like, oh, it's going to be great for you to have your new baby in your new home. Right? And then after that, we're going to be like, okay, let me take one thing off your plate. How about I do the housewarming party for you, right? When does it work for you? Because you want to make it sure it works for them. If you see my invitations to, it actually says you might find boxes and you might, it's funny, right? That way it takes away, it relieves the pressure from them. Like, oh no, I don't want people coming to my house. It's going to look messy. And then you let them know for catering, just find a company, find a restaurant, find something that works and it's easy for you. Honestly, you can go to your local Sam's or Costco's, use that for catering. If you don't know anybody who does anything, that you specifically like, streamline it. And then it's the same cleaner. She knows she's going to be booked or he knows he's going to be booked. And then the final thing is remember we talked about intentionality and process. So you have step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 4, what's going to be happening after that? Whenever you do anything, you want to say, how am I going to use that to help serve more people? How am I going to use that to benefit others? And how do I communicate to people that I am here to serve them? And that's when the thank you notes come in.
Perfect. Really impressive. How many housewarming parties do you think you'll throw this year in 2025?
Well, a lot more because I've only done a couple so far, but I had this system prior to commencement. I thought about my goals and they were very successful.
Yeah, got it. So you see this being a bigger part of your business going forward. Yeah, I think it's genius. Steve, I'll ask you, any insights from your perspective on her flow and all these really incredible actions that she's taken to drive her business?
Yeah, as you've been talking, I've just been trying to put myself into the position of the listener. Earlier on, you said you're probably wondering like how she's able to do this. This is great, but 91 transactions by herself, no real help. I mean, she has a couple of VAs right now, but they're pretty new. So I think a lot of the listeners are wondering, what's the silver bullet? And I've just been thinking about what that is. And what I think it is with Caroline is she said earlier, I serve my people and look for more people to love. She sees her database, quote unquote database. I put it in quotes because she doesn't call it a database. It's her extended family. That's the leverage piece. So it takes you kind of a minute to wrap your head around that. But when your why is that clear, everything else becomes easier or less important. So she's focusing on the relationship. The relationship is the business. The relationship is the leverage. And that's where the harmony is. I think that's important to understand because that's what's really enabling her to do that much volume. The flow example that she gave that I thought was absolutely brilliant. She was always in flow with that person in the wedding, whereas other agents are coming in trying to get into flow. The relationship is already established. So there's just so many brilliant things there. How am I going to use that to serve more people? So you see that common thread and that common denominator with her, that it's about service. It's about seeing people as an extension of her family. And that's just how she treats everyone.
Yeah, it's service, it's care, it's family. It's never transactional. It's never the next deal. You just want to take care of people.
All right. And I think it's very important when you love people and you care about them so much. I think one thing that Steve has taught me is like, make sure you refill. If you're constantly giving and outpouring and thinking of others, it's absolutely wonderful, but you want to make sure that that bank doesn't drop. So make sure you're constantly refilling it with things that matter most to you and things that build you up, including your positive readings, including your family, all the things you love, prayer, meditation, all the things that work for you.
Yep. Take care of you so that you're in a position to take care of others in the way that you want to do that. Caroline, so many takeaways, so much value. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Just be intentional, be present, love on people. Love will never come back empty-handed, ever. So just if you love on people, you will serve them like no other every single time through and through.
Yeah, amazing. So many great nuggets and quotes from today. I look forward to going back and listening to this episode, Caroline. You've just been wonderful. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much, Steve, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Okay, so everyone, it's Caroline. I'm going to spell her last name because I know you want to look her up online so that you can send her a handwritten thank you note for all these tremendous takeaways. So Caroline's last name is spelled B as in boy, Ourgeault, pronounced Bourgeault. Beautiful last name and beautiful podcast. Thank you so much for everything you shared. And thank you everyone for being here, for listening. We so appreciate it. And we so look forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Take care. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com to learn more about ninja selling classes and coaching to get you started or further your journey on the ninja path.
Thank you for joining us. Now go have an incredible day.